Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sola and I'm here to help you be your own icon. If that sounds like something that you are interested in, let's get going. Let's do it. Let's get going. I feel like I'm like coming in real hot with it, but that's because I am super excited about this topic. We are talking about the self part of holistic self-care. What does that mean? That means getting to know you, yourself. I always joke that I am my favorite hobby. Loving myself, learning about myself, nurturing myself, helping myself grow. Like, I love that stuff. That is my bread and butter. That is my whole shtick. I love it. Can't get enough of it. And I want you to feel the same way. So we are talking about how we can be disconnected from ourselves. And if we are disconnected from ourselves, we cannot begin to learn or heal and grow. And that is that's not good, y'all. Like, that's not good. Our first step here is knowing who we are so that we can begin to cultivate our practices and our rituals that aid in nurturing and helping ourselves. And so whenever I talk about this, if you've been following the website for a long time, now letsgetgoing.com, you've probably seen this quote that is, know thyself. And this is a really, really big sort of like wisdom. It's not really a parable because it's not a story, but it's a piece of wisdom that comes from Greek philosophy. It's written on one of the Apollo temples in Delphi. And it's this idea of understanding who we are. Socrates has a quote, well, Plato has a quote of Socrates saying, y'all know how Greek philosophy goes. So Plato wrote that Socrates said, how can I begin to have any sort of leisure or know other things if I'm not yet able to know myself? That's obviously, a little condensed version of that. But that's the whole idea. If you do not know who you are, you cannot know where you're going. I also think there's a Lion King quote about that. If you know the quote from Lion King, please put it down in the comments. It's been bugging me, but I also keep forgetting to look it up. So if you don't know who you are, you cannot begin to create rituals and practices that will help you get to the next level, get on that path of growth and healing. So that's what I want to discuss, the 3 things that I think are separating ourselves from ourselves. The very first reason is that we are not being ourselves. What does that mean? That means that we're trying to be other people. And that is super duper easy for us to do. So easy for us to do. We have about 1,000,000,001 examples of other people to be, whether it's samples from mass media, from social media, from our parents, from the groups that we're associated with, whatever it is. We have a lot of examples of how to be other people. And it's hard to get all of that and also try and get all that programming and also try to be ourselves at the same time. So first, let's talk about social media, because that's what I'm on a YouTube channel. That's social media. I'm on Twitter and I'm on Instagram. I follow maybe 1,000 people between all of the social media platforms, and I'm constantly seeing how other people are living their lives. And I'm like, that's so cool. That's so dope. I want to live like that. I want to be like that. I love how this person does this, or I love how this person lives this way. And so we see that and we try to, and we don't even realize we're doing it sometimes because we're like, these are my interests anyway. And then you slowly start to assume that life, not in a way that, it can be detrimental, but not in a way that, is evil or wrong, but in a way that's natural for all of us to do. We're all beings that have been socialized. And so you see that on social media, and it's so hard to avoid. Back in the day, we didn't have, oh my God, listen to me, back in the day, we didn't have constant reminders of how other people are living. We didn't have that. But now that we do, back in the day, you had newspapers and radio and stuff, and that was still influencing the way that people were moving, but it's harder to avoid now than ever. So it's also trying to make sure that we're keeping our heads up so that we can make sure that we are living our truth. But a lot of times we are not living our truth because we're trying to please other people, whether that's our family, whether that's our friends, whether that's our social group or whatever group that we are attached to. through like race or gender or ethnicity or whatever, or culturally, whatever we're trying to do, we're trying to also be in that mix also. And like, how do I be a better person of my community, of my group, right? And sometimes your values may not be fully aligned with that, and that's cool. But we're often not encouraged to take a step back from that and be like, maybe I don't agree with all this, or maybe I'm not like what I'm culturally supposed to be. And I mean, don't be going and doing a bunch of dumb stuff. I mean, there's a gray area there. So I'm not saying like, oh, I'm different. Like, I'm different. I'm not like the other girls. I'm not saying to do that, but I'm saying understand who you are underneath all of that programming as well. I think that a big reason that we are not ourselves is that we don't think that our true selves are worthy to see the light of day. Some of us don't think that our true selves are worthy of love and worthy of attention. And as a result, we play it small to protect ourselves, or we play it big so that others won't hurt us, or that we don't seem hurt when we actually are. And that becomes from childhood trauma, emotional trauma, physical trauma, however trauma has manifested in your childhood. It comes from there. And I just like, whoever feels that way, I want you to know that you are worthy. Your true self is worthy of so much. It's worthy of so much. And I understand why you've played it small, or if you played it too big, because, at the end of the day, we are programmed to protect ourselves. And so if we are getting messages that we need to protect ourselves by playing it small, or we need to protect ourselves so nobody hurts us, so we're playing it big, that's fully understandable. Do not beat yourself up for it. But now that you know it, it's time to do better. It's time to reach higher. It's time to go further. It's time to rest if you need to rest. And that's what it's all about. So the first thing that we need to do is realize who we are trying to be. And hopefully who we are trying to be is our highest and greatest self. If you're sort of in the spiritual realm, your highest self, your highest and greatest good, you're used to hearing that. But I want you to really think about, who is my highest and greatest self, without limitations, without scarcity, without fear of rejection, without fear of harm. All of those things are super duper important, because a lot of times what we want, what we desire, our values can be dictated and skewed by those fears of scarcity, and those fears of rejection, and those fears of limitation, or our very real limitation that exists. So let's get on to the second reason why we are disconnected from ourselves. Sorry, I had to switch the angles a little bit here, but the second barrier to knowing ourselves is that we are not listening to ourselves. If you're doing any of the things that I mentioned above, I'm reading my notes, that I mentioned before, which is, playing it too small, playing it too big, trying to live other people's lives due to social pressures, chances are your body and your mind and your spirit are giving you cues, but you are not listening to them because you want to continue on the path of somebody else, or on the path that's something that is not true to yourself. And that's completely cool. Please understand, this is all coming from a place of like deep understanding, because I have been there. I'm there right now. I understand all of those pressures. So it's always coming from a place of like understanding and compassion. But if you're anything like me, you can realize all of those things and realize those cues that your body are giving you, but still press on anyway. So here's some examples of some cues that you are not listening to. You are not listening to yourself, and that can be anything from emotionally. Let's take, for example, you're at a job that you really hate, and you wake up every morning and you're just like, gross, I have to go to work. I hate this so much. And then you get in your car and you cry on your way to work. Maybe you cry at work, and then you get home and then you're just angry, and you're angry at, your partner and your friends or your kids or your family, and you are just angry. And usually you're just a happy, bright, cheerful, chipper person. But as a result of being in a job that you don't love for whatever reason it is. It has changed your personality and it's made you this sort of angry, sad person. And it's manifesting in your life in all of these different ways, being angry at your kids, being angry at your partner, being angry at whoever it is at your life. But in reality, those emotions are a cue. They are like a little bit of like if this was a video game, it would like be lighting up or whatever. This is a clue that you are not listening to yourself. If you were listening to yourself, you would understand, hey, this place makes me feel like garbage, so I need to figure out a way to make some moves so that I can leave. That is going on to our next point, which is understanding yourself. But a few other cues about that you're not listening to yourself. And that is, within your body and your mind and your spirit. And one of them can manifest like physically on your body. Let's take, for example, that, you're spending all your time on social media and your head is always dangling down. I was just talking about this the other day with somebody, and, you're getting this thing, they're calling it tech neck, I think. And your body is always angled down or hunched around your screens or your laptop or your phone or whatever it is. And then you start to get neck pain, or you start to get back pain. And you're like, why does my body hurt all the time? Side note, I just found this TikTok of this chiropractor that does like all of the TikTok songs, but like tells you how to like adjust your body and stretch so that you don't feel like garbage. I'm like, this is peak elder millennial content, and I am 100% here for it. Anyway, your body is giving yourself cues that, you know what, maybe I need to shut my phone off for a little bit. Maybe I need to get up and walk around. Maybe I need to stretch. Maybe I need to introduce some more movement to my body. So that is what your body is telling you, but you have to go ahead and listen to her. You got to listen to them. You got to listen to him. You got to do all of those things and listen so that you can get to the next level. And so the next one, the last one that's preventing us from knowing ourselves, is that we are not understanding ourselves. There is a difference between knowing and understanding. Knowing is that, you know that it's raining outside. Understanding is that you understand that rain is wet, so you need an umbrella. Those are different things. They go hand in hand, but understanding is that final step that's going to get you where you want to go within your journey of holistic self-care. So this is this is an example. Do you ever meet people who are so unbelievably self-aware, but still terrible, still awful, still insufferable to be around? That is people who know that they have certain qualities, but do not understand it in order to make themselves better. That personally, that drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. It's like, if you're not going to do anything about it, why say it at all? But we're all on our journeys. I'm on my journey of compassion and growing. So let's get to understanding ourselves. And so I sort of have a bit of a exercise or formula that I like to follow. And if you have your pen and your paper with you, or your journal, or you're just using your notes on your phone, I want you to write down these things. I want you to write down how, the word how, who, why, manifests, and honor your feelings. Okay? So that's how, who, why, manifests, and honor your feelings. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to do that. Blink, blink, blink. Okay, so now that you've written down all of those things, I am going to give an example. This is an example that, especially as a woman, we hear all of the time. I hear this all the time. Daddy issues, daddy issues. She has daddy issues. I have daddy issues. It's probably because of my daddy issues. Okay, like daddy issues. And did you hear about these daddy issues? All women have daddy issues. That freaking John Mayer song about daughters. Daddy issues, right? That's the example that we're going to use here. And as a footnote, everybody has parent issues. Your parents are the ones that socialize you. You're gonna have parent issues. If you're only looking at your daddy issues, you are fully ignoring your mommy issues, which are just as harmful and just as present. So, just saying. And guess what? It doesn't matter what gender you are, you have parent issues. This idea that cis hetero men do not have daddy issues is, ooh, they got daddy issues like nobody else has daddy issues. I'll tell you that much. So passionate, I'm knocking over my plant. That's all I'm saying. But we're going to use daddy issues with this formula so that we can sort of crack into what I mean and the framework of what you should be doing when it comes to understanding yourself. So in the realm of these questions or these words that you wrote down, this is getting to the bottom of what is hurting you. What is hurting you? Just really sit with that for a second. So if what is hurting you is your daddy issues, let's break it down. So how are you hurt? You're hurt because you were abandoned and you and your mom or your family was abandoned for another family in this example. Who hurt you? And when you are answering the who, don't just write down who, my father. No, write down who and what that who is supposed to be. Your father is supposed to be someone who protects you, loves you, provides for you, encourages you, cares about your safety, cares about, you being fed and loved. That is the who. It's not just your father, but who is your father? Who is the father role in your life? Next is why, and that's why were you hurt? You were hurt because you were left alone. You were hurt because you felt abandoned, because you felt unlovable, because you felt unworthy of love, because you felt maybe there was something that you did that made him leave. So that is the why. And so after you've written that down, write as much or as little as possible. As long as you're feeling it, that's what's important. And then write down how it manifests in your life. So this is going to require some legwork mentally here. Writing down how it manifests in your life. This is sort of the knowing. So I know my daddy issues are the reason why I leave partners before that they can leave me. Or I know that my daddy issues is why I have issues with male authority figures. I know that my daddy issues manifest in my life in a way that I am overprotective of my mother and my family to a way that causes a rift between us. That is understanding how your daddy issues, the who, the how, the why, manifests in your life. So now that you've done all of that and you can really think about it, also think about how it manifests in your life in a way that hurts you. Maybe you want a loving relationship. Maybe you want a loving partner. Maybe you want to get along well with authority figures who are male. Maybe you want all of those things, but you can't stop yourself from certain actions. And usually it's because you haven't addressed them. So write all of that down. And then after you write all of those things down, I want you to honor those feelings. Don't just say it and dip out. Yep, so I'm terrible at relationships. My attachment style is avoidant. Okay, that's it. Do they validate here? Like, you gotta do, the next step is not just that, is not just, I know it now, so bye. And it's also not just like, okay, so how do I get better? I'm guilty of that step, of just going to what are the next steps? What are the action items? The next step is honoring those feelings. And the next step that's involved in that step is forgiving yourself for any actions that you may have done that reflect how hurt you've been. So, what does that look like? That is telling yourself, in however the ways that you want to put it, and really just like pause this video, exit out, and really just sit and cry if you need to, scream if you need to, throw things if you need to, not at people, they're not expensive things. But do all of those things and tell yourself that you did not deserve any of the hurt that was introduced in your life by somebody else, or by yourself, or by your own hand. You did not deserve any of those things. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be cherished. You deserve to be made to feel that you are worthy of love and that somebody was going to protect you and be there for you. And that, you deserved all of those things. So in whatever words that you need to let yourself know that, say that and just really speak to who you were when this happened to you, and let yourself know that you deserved more, and let yourself know that, you know what else? It sucked that you did not get more. Tell yourself that, you know what? It sucked that this person abandoned me. It sucked that this person was a terrible father. It was terrible being at home with my mom when she cried for 4 years. Give yourself what you need in that moment. Give yourself the closure that another person cannot ever give you. Give yourself that. Honor your feelings in that way. Just sit there and cry and yell and do whatever you need to do. Cuss out the sky, I don't know. Wave your fists up and, why I oughta, do all of that stuff. And just feel, and do that for as long as you need to do that. Caveat to that. A lot of us are doing that and just letting that tornado and take over our lives, but we need to make sure that we're doing this in a contained environment, and that we're not doing that in a way that we're lashing out at others, but do this for yourself. And then understand that there are next steps after you honor your feelings and after you honor yourself. And those next steps are making a plan on how to continue to honor this understanding. Sorry, sirens. Make a plan as to how to honor this understanding. And that is where holistic self-care, your routines and your practices come into play. If these are really big traumas, if these are really big, not quantifying people, I'm not saying that like there are little small baby traumas and then there are bigger ones. If this is something that you can't do on your own, you can't make a plan on your own, please go to therapy, continue journaling, do whatever you need to do to save yourself, and so that you can live the life that you want to live, and so that you can love the way that you want to love, so that you can give yourself and give to others the love that you were not afforded. And that's what it is. That's what knowing yourself is, understanding the depths of your hurt, the depths of your rejection, the depths of your fear, in order to make plans to let in the light. And that's what I want you to do. And that's what I know that you can do, girl. Like, you can do this. Like, you can do this. And you're not just going to do this once. Chances are you're going to be doing this a few times. I've done this formula a few times. And I've had a journal. I have so many journals that I just keep writing. I'm crying, I'm writing. Full on crying in the shower, real torn Natalie Imbruglia kind of stuff. And and that's fine. And you deserve to keep doing that as many times as it serves you. So please consider doing that. If this is a formula that you feel that works for you, please let me know in the comments below, or if it's something that you want to try. But this formula that I just gave you, this is a perfect example of what people call shadow work. It's sort of like a shadow work formula, and it's sort of to get to know that part of you that is hurt. And it's to get to know sort of like the ego a little bit, all that kind of stuff. But it's also to know like the part of how it manifests in your life is super duper important, because it can also manifest not just your outward, actions, but it can also manifest inside. How are you talking to yourself? Is your inner monologue and dialogue just cussing yourself out? Are you calling yourself dumb all the time? Are you saying like, oh, you're always going to be alone. You're always going to be lonely. Are you speaking all of this like icky, gross stuff into your aura, into your energy, into your mind? And so if that's what you're doing, that is why you need to consider doing that shadow work, that shadow side, so that you can let into the light. And here's the thing. You can do the how, why, who manifests, honor your feelings. You can also do that for the happy stuff in your life. Think about a time that you were super duper duper happy. You had a great day. How were you happy? Who were you happy around? Why were you happy? Like, how did it manifest in your life? How are you honoring your happiness? And how are you creating next steps in order to ensure that you're going to continue to be happy? So that's it. That's it. I felt like I was in the spirit of preaching a little bit there, but that is it for this video. Understanding the self. This is a video I can do a whole series on this because it's that important. You cannot begin to heal yourself without understanding who you are. That is the major takeaway. That's the too long didn't read. You cannot begin to heal until you understand who it is you are and what it is you want. That's a whole nother video. I'm going to create some worksheets and stuff for this down the road. I'll probably add it in a little bit later, not for the Friday review or Friday release. But thank you so much for watching. As always, save yourself, love yourself, be kind to yourself, and I will catch you on the next one. Please consider liking and subscribing. I would love to get to 400 subscribers by my birthday in March. So share this with your friends, your family, your group, whoever, your squad, your crew. I would really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.